So I did look up the information that I promised as far as the maximum annuity being 41 years and 11 months, and that sick leave being used to meet the 41 years and 11 months, and it's no. So you actually have to work 41 years and 11 months, and then the sick leave can be added on top of that to get you to the additional 2%. Anything over the 41 years and 11 months can be refunded back to you. If you have a deposit, I learned a few things over the break that I didn't know already. So if you have a deposit, like deposit service, then OPM will automatically credit it toward that deposit. But if it's a redeposit service, they will not automatically credit it toward that redeposit service. They'll send out the letter to you advising you you've paid over the 41 years and 11 months towards your retirement annuity, and give you the option if you want to apply money toward the redeposit, pay that part back. Then also, if you already paid, then you get it paid out to you. Or, remember I said there's a way that you can have it calculated back in your annuity somehow? Well, what they call that is, at this time, the retiree is advised by letter of the amount of additional annuity, the excess deductions and interest would purchase. If the retiree returns the excess deductions and interest to OPM, this amount is treated as voluntary contributions, and the annuity is recomputed accordingly. So that can increase your annuity if you want it to, or you can just take the payout with the interest. And that's all in the letter from OPM. You're talking like the voluntary contributions? Every once in a while, people will participate and do that. We get very few applications for that, but there are a few.
So you can get 82%, but you have to have 41 years, 11 months at the end.
Yes. Yes, ma'am. Now remember, if you got 40 years of service and a whole year of sick leave, it's still going to be added there. You just won't have any excess contributions, but it'll still bump up your annuity by additional 2%. All right. So we stopped at NAF, just asking if anyone had that retirement system, and I think that was a no. So if anyone is considering or have been asked if they want to come back as a rehired annuitant, and you decide that that might be something that you'd be interested in, if you submit your packet to us and you're going to go back to federal service, especially within 3 days of your separation, please let us know at the Army Benefit Center. Because you know when you separate, then that starts the process of your annual leave payout. And then if you're going to come back on the federal rolls, even if it is a NAF position or the same seat that you've been sitting in for years, then you want to let us know so we will submit a code to DFAS asking them to not pay out your annual leave. Okay.
Is it a year waiting period? Otherwise, between
A year waiting period for?
you retire and then you want to be reemployed?
No, that's not a waiting, no. So the question was there like a waiting period for coming back as a rehired annuitant? There are certain people who will retire one day, 1 week, or a Friday. When they come back to work on Monday, they're retired, but rehired, and they might be paying into the system like FICA only, which is Social Security, which means that they draw their full CSRS retirement check while they're still working.
There's only one if you get the VSIP. If you get the voluntary separation, there's the money.
The VSIP, that's like you agree to not coming back to a federal position for like 5 years. Yes, sir.
With the rehired annuitant, what if they get hired back 2 months later? Their annuities already been paid.
Good question. That's good. The question was, what if they are going to be hired back as a re-employed annuitant? 2 months later, their sick leave has already paid out, has already exhausted. So what we try to ask or advise people is, if you are going to come back, try to let your sick leave exhaust. So if you're paid out for a total of a month or 2 months of I said sick leave, annual leave, if you're paid out, you guys are listening, thank you, say 2 months of annual leave, you want to try and stay off the rolls until it has exhausted. And then there's nothing for you to have to pay back. Because if you come back and your annual leave has been paid out, whatever portion of it has not exhausted or been used, then you've got to pay that part back plus the taxes that was taken off of it. It's reinstated back into your payroll. Yes, sir?
Okay, that begs another question. What if you retire in the last 10 years of the fiscal year and you don't anticipate going back to retirement, you get offered a job, say, February or whatever, you have that age leave and what
Well,
that you couldn't carry over all of a sudden now.
no, okay, so basically, here's the thing. The end of the year, you're going to get paid out whatever you've accumulated for your annual leave. Minus taxes, they pay it all out. If you come back that next year, it's still the same. Whatever you didn't use, they're not going to take any of it from you because you actually retired in time before you would have lost it. So they'll still, if any of it hasn't exhausted, like that's January, February, and it was 3 months worth of annual leave, then there may be like a month that you have to pay back plus the taxes. So we just ask that either you let us know or you try to take enough time off to where you don't have to, because DFAS will send you a really nice debt letter. It's really sincere. Telling you need to pay all that money back plus the taxes. Yes. It depends on what they hire you back as. You know, whether it's full-time, part-time, FICA only, because some some FICA appointments aren't entitled to certain things like health insurance or life insurance and things like that. And more than likely, you'll have them coming out through your retirement check, but you may have an option to have it coming out of your salary, your pay, yeah. So as far as leave is concerned, you still earn it at the same, I believe you earn it at the same amount. That's going into the leave guidelines too. Stuff that I would ask my timekeeper. But that's something that I can find out. That's easy. All right. So whenever I say I can find out, I always go to opm.gov and the handbook, whether it's for FERS and CSRS retirements, the handbook for life insurance, health insurance, the leave categories, military service, deposits, redeposits, is all there. And that's where the guidance comes from for the HR community. And there's some people who read up on it. And when they call it ABC, they already know the answer. They just want to make sure we know it. All right, so we're going to go into health benefits into retirement. So if you have health insurance and you've had it for at least 5 consecutive years going into retirement, even if you've changed during the open season from GEHA to Blue Cross to Aetna, as long as you've had it consecutive with no breaks, a FEHB plan, then it's fine. Then you can continue it into retirement. Don't have to fill out a form or anything, because we're going to automatically verify that you can keep it and include that in your calculations. Now, if you get an estimate and you cannot keep it at the time that you request it as a proposed date of retirement, we let you know. So retiring on an immediate annuity, and you must have that insurance on the date that you retire. And I'll explain that. Be covered for the 5 years, for 5 years going into retirement unless your retirement is under those special rules like the VERA VSIP. So if the agency is doing some kind of restructuring and they're shutting down a post or removing positions, then if you enrolled in the health benefit program, but this occurs, then it's waived. So you don't have to meet the 5-year rule. To try and get a waiver from OPM, if it doesn't include for reasons of a VERA or a VSIP, say you had 4 years and 6 months worth of FEHB benefits, but you want to retire. And if you retire, of course, you don't meet that 5 years. You can submit a request for waiver to OPM and ask them to waive that 5-year rule. And you've got to get that notification returned to you prior to your retirement. Yes.
I was originally under my husband's. We're under the same health insurance, and I did switch over, and I'm on my own now. But I went ahead and I did get the letter from Blue Cross Blue Shield saying I was under his for all these years, so that should work, right?
That works, as long as you didn't have any breaks from his to yours. Okay, so as long as it was a federal plan. Say if a person married to a teacher and they have a state health insurance plan, then that doesn't give you credit toward continuation of coverage like another federal employee's plan would or a TRICARE plan would. Okay, let me make sure I went through everything. Coverage as a family member under FEHB or TRICARE counts toward the 5-year requirement. And when it says you must be insured on the date of retirement, for a good example is, you know, we have the open season every November, second Monday of November to the second Monday of December. That's how long it lasts. Well, if I decide, because I currently don't have the FEHB plan, I'm covered under TRICARE. Now, if I decide that I want to pick up an FEHB plan because my oldest daughter is not in taking a full-time schedule for school anymore, so she's kicked off of TRICARE, then based on her qualifying life event, I'm thinking, okay, well, I need to pick up health insurance during the open season. Pick up the health insurance so that she's still covered until age 26. Then if I retire, say, June of that next year, then when they verify my health insurance coverage, they're going to see that I just enrolled during this past open season. So I've got like maybe 6 months of coverage under the FEHB program. Well, I can get a letter from TRICARE to say, hey, this counts toward my continuation of coverage. And then of course, even if it still continues, I make sure there's no breaks, just in case that TRICARE were to stop for me. No breaks from the time I had TRICARE to when that other FEHB plan kicked in. Then I can take that FEHB plan into my retirement, even though I only had it for 6 years. So you can use that TRICARE or another FEHB plan as continuation, so you can take it into retirement. So this was that pre-approved waiver. It's automatically approved for people who are enrolled and during a buyout period that is October 1st of that fiscal year, during that buyout period, retiring during that buyout period. So even if you don't separate during that time frame and maybe next year, it was only good for that particular buyout, the waiver. So VERA or DSR, you will be automatically waived the 5-year rule for FEHB if you were to accept one of these type of retirements. If you didn't already meet the 5-year rule, of course. Okay. All right, so the cost of the health benefit plan is the same. The only difference is we're currently paid 26 times a year, unless it's a leap year, 26 times a year on average. And that's the difference between us paying those premiums more frequently. Instead of in retirement, you're paid monthly. So those deductions from your retirement check come out monthly. So at the end of the year, whether you're retired with Blue Cross Blue Shield or an active employee with Blue Cross Blue Shield, at the end of the year, you're still paying the same amount because your premiums remain unchanged. And as long as you're eligible to continue it, the agency is going to continue to pay their portion of it. So you pay your 1/3, the agency pays the other 2/3. So health insurance is definitely expensive. So for, yes, sir. Well, you were in yesterday's class, weren't you? That's a good question. Yes. No. So, okay, wait a minute. I'm going to get to that one. But let me finish going over this information right here. The same qualifying life events will apply going into retirement. So if, you were to lose coverage that you have from someone else, say you were under TRICARE, divorce, and now you're already retired, and that was your health benefits. Well, you've got a qualifying life event within 60-day window to pick up your own FEHB plan.
So if I have a baby when I retire,
Hey, I wasn't going to judge. Yes, that is true. You can adopt. Yes, that's a qualifying event, whether it's birth of a newborn, adoption. Yes, ma'am, within a 60-day window. Same for in retirement. The same FEHB plans will apply. Bless you. So even if it's, you know how some plans you got the Prime or the Advantage? Well, the same healthcare benefits and plan that you currently have, those are the same benefits you're going to receive in retirement. It's going to be the same. Now, right now, unless any of you have waived it, some people waive that option, it's called premium conversion. So before our salaries are taxed, then our FEHB premiums are deducted from those salaries, which is good for a lot of people, lowers the taxable earnings. So right now, as current employees, those deductions come out for FEHB will come out of your salary before the taxes come out. When you retire, your salaries are taxed, and then those FEHB premiums will deduct. Okay, so we are not able to participate in premium conversion as retirees. Okay. Now, once you cancel your health benefit into retirement, you can never re-enroll. If you have some extenuating circumstance, something that you need to discuss with OPM after you retire, if you've canceled it going into retirement, you'll want to give them a call, because as far as what they say is no, you cannot cancel it. And there may be something that occurred where you might have had other coverage and it canceled on you somehow. So you definitely want to contact or notify OPM to see if you are able to re-enroll in something, but they say never, which is why we advise people that if you can, it's best for you to suspend if it's something that you're eligible for, and I'll go over that. At age 65, enrollment in Medicare is optional. However, if you do enroll in Medicare, Medicare becomes your primary and FEHB becomes your secondary. Now, this is in retirement. So some people it applies to right now. Yep. And so if you're still working, of course, FEHB is primary and then Medicare. I don't know which hand went up first. Yes, ma'am.
So, I retire from citizens. I am still going to be eligible for Medicare.
That depends if you paid into Social Security or not. Okay. Oh, you know what? Do you guys see the OASDI? OASDI?
No, we don't get that one. We
Okay.
pay into-
You do pay into it?
No, it's Medicare.
Okay. So OASDI on your LES, that's Medicare, Social Security benefits? No? Okay. Well, if you pay into Medicare, then it's a benefit that you are definitely entitled to. Okay.
But not the old age, that's Social
No,
Security.
okay, that's a separate one. So if you pay into it and it's coming from your LES, then it's definitely something that you'd be entitled to. But the other caveat is you got to contact Medicare to see if it's something that you are eligible to receive. Because for the most part, we're automatically, if we're eligible, automatically placed into Part A. The other parts where we have to pay for it, then of course we got to apply for those. Yes, sir?
I was asking you kind of a similar question. There's something that maybe could be brought out,
Mm-hmm. Okay. And that's this. That's, I'm sorry, that's separate from Social Security. So let me get you, we're going to get us over to the next slide. Not this one. Okay. So I'll go over this one and then we'll go into that question. So Medicare, FEHB can suspend, and retirees can suspend FEHB for TRICARE, Medicaid, or Medicare Advantage. And when you suspend it, that means you're kind of like putting it on the back burner. That means that you're not going to pay any premiums going into retirement. But if anything were to happen, or if you had any other issues, concerns, or anything medical-wise that come up, and you might need additional coverage, then you can enroll back in the next, during the next open season and pick it back up. Unlike canceling it, you can't just enroll during the open season. So if you're eligible for any of those benefits, then you have an opportunity to suspend. Some people who are eligible to do this still won't suspend because maybe they are eligible for Medicare, but their spouse is not. And they carry the FEHB, which their spouse is under, so they have to continue that health benefit plan. So there's different scenarios.
So with the FEHB, so I'm gonna try here. If I want to pick one, my son, he gets to that age where tracking, or if I want to pick it up now, can you pick it up now and just suspend it until you need it?
You can't suspend as an active employee. The question was, can you pick it up and suspend it? So right now, that's not an option for us, because some of us, we've got Medicare and TRICARE, and we're paying FEHB. So that's 3 different health insurances that we pay. So once you go into retirement, then you have the opportunity to suspend. Not right now. Right. Ma'am?
TRICARE. I have TRICARE, used to be the TRICARE standard.
Okay.
That qualifies as well as the TRICARE that you pay for, like TRICARE Prime and all that. Doesn't
Yep.
matter.
That's right. Just TRICARE. So it's not specific like Medicare Advantage. Yeah. Yes, sir?
So is there a decision period? So you've got 2 months on each side of age 65.
Mm-hmm.
Go in and register.
Right.
Otherwise, you suffer.
That's right.
So
Glad you asked that one.
FEHB, you're making decisions from A, B, C, D.
Mhm.
Some guidance.
On the Medicare website? Yes, but I'm going to give you a little bit more information. Hopefully it'll help a little bit, but the rest is going to have to come from Medicare. Don't participate in premium conversion, and your spouse is eligible to continue FEHB coverage after you pass away, but only if you've elected a survivor benefit. So remember when I was saying that you can leave them $1 a month, as long as you've left something, then they can continue their health insurance. So that's exactly what I was going over earlier. So for Medicare, Part A, hospitalization, automatically enrolled. Well, it says enrollment is automatic at age 55 if you are receiving Social Security benefits. I think Medicare needs a call from a lot of people to see if that's something that they receive those benefits for, especially if you're paying for it. Part B, that's medical. Now, there's like a penalty, I believe, for when you've got to get enrolled in that Part B. Most people who are still working have FEHB. So there's a form that the Social Security, Medicare will provide to you, and they just want you to send that to us, the ABC. You just give us a call, let us know that you're sending it. You can fax it to us, and what we're going to do is verify that you have a federal employee group health benefit. And then you, if you want us to fax it straight to that office or return it to you, either way, can submit that to them so that they don't penalize you if you apply in Part B later. And then Part C is a plan offered by a private company. And then Part D is drug.
Potentially, if you are a receive, then they're gonna enroll you in Part A, as you are receiving.
If you're entitled to. And I know that for this Medicare is basically for the individual if they meet the eligibility to draw it. So this is a little different from the survivor annuity part. So you will want to call and find out if this is something you're entitled to receive, if you're eligible for it. Okay. When it comes to suspending your health benefits, if you are eligible for the Medicare and you've got other health benefit plan, or if you just want Medicare to cover you but don't want to pay the FEHB portion, then when you fill out the form, you'll actually be able to put the date on here that you want that health benefit plan to stop. And this is only in retirement, so you're sending it with your retirement forms. And I believe it's a RI 70-9 or RI 79-9. I can let you guys know if it applies to anyone, but that's just a form that you can suspend. And that's pretty much the only form that you'd actually have to send with your packet in regard to health benefits.
So there's nothing, as I transition from working to retirement, there's nothing I need to do to make sure my health benefit premiums are still being paid. If it takes me 6 to 8 weeks to get that first check, or how that works.
You guys have the best questions. I appreciate it. So when you're going through that limbo, that time frame where you're waiting for OPM to finalize your retirement, you know you're eligible because you met the 5-year criteria. So your health benefit is going to stay intact. You're going to continue benefiting from it, using that card, going to the doctor's appointment, whatever the case is. When you go into retirement, OPM and those health benefit agencies, they have an agreement. So while you're in that interim status, that limbo, you're getting paid maybe 70% of your overall annuity. They do take taxes out, but they take an additional amount out. And the reason they do that is once they finalize your retirement, they're going to use that money to pay off your premiums that they haven't paid for the months that you've been in interim status. So you won't have to come out of pocket for those health benefit premiums. It'll continue. And they've been doing it for years, so that is something that has been working out pretty smoothly. Because if it didn't, they would definitely call us and say, hey, y'all told us that it would be smooth. So that does work out.
You said something about Part B. Is that off until you retire? You have that form, or do you have to start paying once you start?
Well, it depends on when your penalties, when you have to enroll by. So you want to get that form as soon as you know that you've got a time frame that you have to enroll, unless you've got some other health benefit plans. And then we verify it for you and get it out sent to you. If you've got a spouse who also falls under the category of having to enroll in Part B, but is covered under your health benefit plan, we fill out that form for your spouse as well. But whatever I guess is around your birthday, you just want to make sure that you let us know in advance. Make sure you're calling Medicare, get that form, and it's a CMS 785. I can't remember the 4 numbers behind it, but it is a verification form that they send to you, and then you send to us, and we certify it. We say from the date all the way to current, that you still have that health benefit in place. Ma'am?
Do you have a separate slide that covers the dental and the vision supplements, or is that all covered up? I mean, is the same policy that applies to your supplements applies to?
So I do have a slide about dental and vision and the requirements to taking those into retirement. So that's going to come up. I don't want to tell you that and you leave, if that's all you needed. Yes, ma'am.
When I went to Social Security office to enroll in Medicare, they actually gave me a form that said that while I'm still employed, and I didn't have to sign up for Part B.
There you go.
At that time, he said, because he asked me when had I planned, I said, well, I've got about a year, and the form he gave me, and it's on there that I'm covered under
FEHB, and that's where we certify.
retired, and that's what he said. You'll send this forward, please, into your personnel office, and they'll see on here that you did enroll, but you're not being penalized or anything. He said because you are covered
Right.
up until you're ready to retire.
You don't have to enroll in it if you've got FEHB, especially if it's something you'd be paying for. Because Part B you would have to pay for. So if you already have FEHB, you don't want to pay for that as well if you already have a federal benefit. And FEHB premiums won't decrease after you retire. It's not going to, even if you have everything, that premium won't decrease. Someone had asked me before, will my FEHB premiums decrease after I retire? No. The only increase you'll see is the one that you have been seeing over the years for that plan increase the beginning of each year. Okay, life insurance. So this is going to go over life insurance. If you don't currently have life insurance, and more than likely when you retire, won't have it for 5 consecutive years, especially if you don't have it at all right now, then you don't have to fill out the form 2818 and send with your packet. But for everyone else, this is very important because there are often times when people see that life insurance dollar amount and are confused because that is one of the premiums that will go up. The agency does not pay any portion of your life insurance premium for you. That's all you. And for a fixed income and a monthly annuity that's paid out, that's a chunk that can come from your retirement. So when we go through these next few slides, we're going to talk about them each individually as a price or as a cost. So we got basic. That's the one that we are automatically enrolled in when we first start in a covered position. And then we've got option A, which we can enroll in if we want to. Option B, which is multiples of our salary that go up to 5 times. And then option C, which is family coverage, up to 5 multiples as well. And not the same as our salary, but other multiples that we'll go over. Did anyone participate in the last life insurance open season, the last FEGLI open season? Okay, so any changes, any amount of multiples or any changes that we've had, those changes we will have to have them for at least 5 years if we want to take it into retirement. So for example, if you've had basic for most of your career and then participated in the last open season and you just decided to pick up option B, well, if you retire, say next year, then that option B, you didn't have it for 5 full years. So the only thing you'd actually be able to take into retirement is that basic. So retiring on an immediate annuity, of course, insured with that life insurance coverage on the date that you're retiring, enrolled in each option and multiple for at least 5 years of service prior to your retirement date. So a full 5 years or the first opportunity to enroll. So if I had basic and option B for my entire career and this year decided to get married no children, just decided to get married. Then now, my first opportunity to actually pick up option C, family coverage. So I pick it up, and then I retire next year. So I didn't have that option C coverage for at least 5 years, but my first opportunity to actually be able to enroll in that option C coverage was just recently because of my marriage. So I get to take that into retirement if I want to, because it was my first opportunity. The form you'll have to complete is the SF-2818, and I have examples of the snapshots, which you'll see on those forms, because it's very specific as to how you have to fill them out. OPM will not like it if you don't fill it out the right way. Okay, so this slide right here is talking about basic only. So when it comes to the basic, and right here it says we got 3 options, we got 4. The fourth one would be you don't want it at all. But if you decide to keep it, you've got 3 options right there. The first one being the 75% rate of reduction. And that basically means that, and I'll go up to the example first so we can see what the dollar amount is that we're working with for this example. Everyone in the room, your basic insurance amount is your salary, rounded up to the nearest 1,000, with an additional $2,000 on top of that. That's what your basic life insurance policy is worth. So for this example, this salary is $51,400, rounded up, plus $2,000 on top equals $54,000. So this employee decided going into retirement, if they want to do a 75% rate of reduction, then they're going to have this salary, or excuse me, this payout amount, $54,000, all the way up until age 65. So before they reach 65, it's going to be calculated, and all of ours are, basic insurance amount times 0.3250 per thousandth. So in this example, this person is going to pay $17.55 per month for $54,000 in coverage. Once they turn age 65, they will not pay a premium at all. At 65, each month after, they're going to notice that this $54,000 is going to reduce at a rate of 2% per month for 37.5 months. And once it's done reducing, the only thing remaining from your life insurance is going to be about 25% of whatever the original payout was. It won't reduce past that amount, and you won't pay any premiums. So 75% is the reduction rate. And once it starts reducing, it's going to continue going until there's only 25% left over as a payout. And with that option, you won't pay anything after age 65. That's what you make right now. So if you were to retire now, it's going based off your salary, your current.
What it is after.
No. Yes, so your policy is worth the same as, right, with whatever your pay is, then that's what it's worth. Now, the 50% rate of reduction, some people say, okay, I want to leave a little bit more. Then 50% rate of reduction, basically, it will reduce at 1.0650% times, or excuse me, per thousandth. So for this example, before this employee reached the age of 65, they're going to pay $89 cents per month for $54,000 in coverage. After they reach the age of 65, they're still going to pay a premium. The premium is going to reduce, and it's going to stay this amount for the duration of their retirement. But what's also going to happen at 65 is it's going to reduce 1% per month for 50 months. So it'll be half of the original value of that policy. Okay. And then if you don't want to do any reductions at all, that means I want the full value, $54,000 to pay out. Going into retirement, I'm going to pay the $132.57 per month. And that's before 65. Once you reach 65, it'll go down and stay this amount. So slightly reduced because it's calculated a little differently. $115.02 per month for the $54,000 policy. So that's basic only. So whatever you choose here for basic, because you have to elect basic in order to take any other multiples. Okay. So the basic, whatever dollar amount you got, and we usually sit on the phone with people and go through the calculations. And there's a FEGLI calculator that you can get to through your EBIS link. Yes, ma'am.
So if you have the basic times 5, it'll be
This is just the basic. There's no additional multiples on top of basic, but you're saying option B times 5. We're getting ready to get there. You'll see. It can get pretty pricey. So the next one is, so before we get to the other multiple, let's talk about the form. That 2818 I was talking about, whatever you decide as far as your basic coverage is going to be, you say yes if you want to keep it, and indicate whether you want to do 75%, 50%, or no reduction. If you don't want to keep the basic or any options at all, you can just say no, and you're pretty much done. Because once you say no to basic, you can't take any of the other options with you. Okay? So option A, that's just an additional $10,000 of coverage. We don't have any say of how we can, if we can increase it or anything. Like basic, our salary increase, our basic and life insurance increases. Well, this one, it's a fixed $10,000. So it looks at your age at retirement and determine how much you're going to pay. Mowing rocks. And then, of course, between 60 and 64, you'll pay $13 for $10,000 worth of coverage. Now, once you reach the age of 65, or if you retire after age 65, then you're not going to pay anything at all for option A coverage. Same for basic. If you retire and you're already past age 65 and you do a 75% rate of reduction, then you're not going to have a premium going into retirement because you already met that age limit for the reduction process. And it's still going to start reducing. It's just that you won't have a premium to pay. Okay, so the way this works is it is actually going to reduce on us. No say, we don't get to say if we wanted to stay at the full $10,000 value. This is automatic. So option A, at the age of 65, that coverage is going to reduce 2% per month for 37.5 months until the value is $2,500. And some people say that they just want enough to get them buried in flowers. So if you have option A, just make sure you check off that you have it. If you want to keep option A, you'll say yes. If you have option A but don't want to keep it, say no. And of course, if you don't have option A at all, then you'll want to say I don't have. Wouldn't seem like it makes a difference, but it does. Option B. This is the one where you can get multiples of your salary. So if you have option B coverage, each multiple is worth your salary rounded up, and that's it. Nothing additional put on there. So each multiple of option B is your salary rounded up. So in this example, it's showing one multiple. So for option B, one multiple of 52,000 for this example, the same example that we had. So if this person decides to retire between age 60 and 64 and they want to keep their option B in place, that one multiple is going to cost them $49.56 on top of the basic premium amount if they decide to continue some of that premium. So you can see how if you kept everything that you currently have and took it into retirement, your full face value of basic, option A, your full value of option B 5 times, can you see how quickly that is going to increase on you? And then not only that, every 5 years, even after retirement, it's going to increase. So if a person has option B 5 times, if one multiple is $108.16, then you can imagine what 5 multiples would be. Mm-hmm. It's based on your salary when you went into before retirement. So whatever your current salary is, or if you retire next year, whatever your salary adjusts to, based on any adjustments, that's what your insurance is based on right now. And so that's the same rate that is based on when you go into retirement. It doesn't decrease because you're right. So when we talk life insurance, not like calculating retirement annuity, your life insurance policy and what's payable is based on what you are currently earning. So your base salary and your locality pay. Whatever that dollar amount is, you either round it up an additional $2,000 on top of that. That's what your policy is worth. So even though you're retiring, they're still looking at whatever your salary was and whatever your life insurance was worth before you retire. So it's not going to reduce because it would be lower if they based it on what you're going to receive as a retiree, but that's not what happens.
So once we opt for it, and let's say after a couple of years I say it's not worth it, how easy is it for me to opt out of it?
It's very easy to decrease, even now.
Is it?
If you don't want it, you decrease. You can always decrease it. That's easier than, well, in retirement, you can never increase it. And if you guys notice how far and few in between the FEGLI open seasons are, they're not very often. You can always decrease it. Yes, ma'am, because I don't know if you guys got this really cool birthday present, but your FEGLI increases every 5 years after age 45. So usually if you saw an increase on FEGLI, it's because you had a birthday. So every 5 years, while you're still working as well, age 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, even if you're working and you've got all those multiples, you will see an increase. For some people, they call us and they're like, you guys are taking my money. And it's and then we have to explain to them, it's because you just had a birthday. You just turned 55. Happy birthday. But that's exactly what's happening. I'm waiting for you. Oh, yes. So the email, can I? Oh, yeah. So this email here that was sent out from Miss Monica McKay. Yeah. It has links for the CSRS retirement slides. And so now that you guys have gone to the class, you probably don't want to print all the slides because there's a lot of military stuff in there that y'all won't need. But like those, the FEGLI slides, the sick leave chart, things like that, if you want to keep them, they're available to you. And they're on the ABC homepage. Okay. One more question for the rest of the day. Yes, it sure will. Now, if you did 75% reduction, whatever it's worth at that time, which, right, is only going to be 25% of whatever the original amount was. If you decide to keep all of this and you live to be 80 and above, you're going to pay for it. But whenever you pass away, it's going to go to whoever you have listed as a beneficiary on your SF 2823. So I had a case where I processed, and I said this yesterday, processed this gentleman's retirement. By the time I got to his bottom line, he hardly had anything. He didn't owe. He didn't have the little brackets at his bottom line, but it wasn't very big. And he knew that he had a condition where he wasn't going to live for very long. But when he explained to me, I got all excited and warm and fuzzy inside. He's like, I have the best grandchildren in the whole world. And my time with them was just precious. And they've given so much joy to my life. I want to make sure that I can do something for them. And so he kept all of his, yes, and he had all his dependent. He said, you do have that form, right? And I said, I sure do, sir. It was perfect. No errors. Submitted it with his retirement packet so that when he passed away, because he was under the impression that he had been told what his life expectancy was, and he wanted to make sure that it was paid out to his grandchildren. And so he knew his wife was going to get his CSRS benefits, but he wanted to make sure the kids got the life insurance, the grandkids. So if you were to fill out this form for your option B coverage, we have two options for this. I mean, we have three, because we can decide not to take it into retirement at all. But if we decide that we do want to continue some option B with us, we don't have to do all the portions. So if I have 5 times option B and I say, yeah, I want to take it into retirement, so I select yes. And then I say, well, I want some of them to stay. I want 2 times my salary to stay, but I want the other 3 times my salary to go away altogether. So it's either no reduction or full reduction. So we decide we want to do full reduction. At age 65, we don't pay anything for that option B premium. So that's the difference of whether you're going to continue paying after 65. You're going to continue paying those multiples, the premiums per multiple, or not. So if you do no reduction, that means you keep it all and you continue to pay whatever it's worth. Mm-hmm. The premium amount is going to increase. Okay, now we've got some options here. So we decide, and are we talking about the first one that's full reduction, age 65, no cost? You won't pay anything for it after 65. If you say, I want to fully reduce and go away altogether after 50 months. So it's going to gradually reduce at age 65. We're not going to pay those expensive premiums that we saw on the other slide because we said no reduction. We said full reduction. That means 65, it gradually decreases 2% per month for 50 months. Regardless of anything's left over, it's going to end. We won't have that as a payout anymore. They stop taking it at 65, it gradually reduces until it goes away after 50 months. If we say no reduction at all, then that means that it's not going to reduce and we still have the coverage and pay the premiums for that. So even if you decide to take 5 multiples, you don't have to take all 5 multiples. So if you have a total of 5, then this line is, the total of these is going to equal 5. You've got to let them know what you want to do with some and what you want to do with the rest. If you want to keep all of it at the same value and pay whatever it's going to increase to as far as the premiums over the years, then you can go ahead and say no reduction. if you want to just keep it for 50 months after you reach age 65, you want to have something that's payable in the event that you passed away within those 50 months after you reach the age of 65, then that would be another option for you as well. And if you don't have it at all, then you've got to say, I don't have option B. Mm-hmm. When you say 7% out of that, you're talking about your salary? That's totally separate from life insurance.
No, what I'm saying is, when you retire now, you no longer have that, so there's an offset. Calculate this, so you're not losing it. A friend of mine retired. He actually got more, and he said, well, in a way, relatively, 7% is no longer being taken out.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So since you don't have all those deductions and things like that, especially the 7%, you're saying eventually it kind of balances out at the end. Maybe, if you want to look at it like that, because although you're paying the same premiums for health insurance, it comes out at a monthly rate. So it looks like there's a lot more coming off your bottom line. And then depending on what you do for life insurance, if you want to take a lot more coverage into retirement, then you see that coming off because it does increase as well. So I guess it depends on how you look at it. You don't pay into the retirement system anymore after you retire, so that's 7% that you don't have to worry about. But at the same time, some people's retirements are processed at 60% of their high three average salary, 70%. So it's not actually the full amount that their salary was, where that 7% decrease will, you see. So yeah, I guess it's based on perception. If you go to a state like Florida, which I'm thinking about,
That's part of that thing you got to figure it.
You got to figure it all in, the whole planning process, the whole thing. That picture in my head, what I want to do when I retire, and then start planning for it. My husband's home relaxing right now. So option C coverage. If you have option C coverage, then you know it covers your family members, your eligible family members. So your spouse, it covers your spouse. One multiple per spouse is $5,000. You can have up to 5 multiples, which is $2,500, or anything in between. 2 multiples, $10,000. For each child, it's worth $2,500. Remember, when it says eligible family members, your children are only covered up until age 22, unless your child had a disability at birth or something that occurred prior to the age of 22 where they were deemed as disabled. Then if anything were to happen to that child, then it's a payout that you could receive. So of course, this is option C is what you received in the event that anything happened to your family, eligible family members, whereas the options, the basic A and B, are what your family members would receive if anything happened to you. So when we look at the amounts for these, and this is the age group that the employee is in, not the family member. And per multiple between 60 and 65, it's $5.85. So for one multiple of 5,000 and one multiple of 2,500, it's like an umbrella coverage. So anyone who's eligible is covered under it. So if a person is married and their children already dropped off because they're like age 24 and 25, then they're already dropped off. But you still pay the same premium amount for that eligible family member, your spouse, who's covered under there still. So you don't have to do anything to adjust it or make changes to it. Now, in the event that you no longer have any eligible family members, but you noticed that you've been paying option C coverage, but all your children are older and you're not married, then you want to give us a call and let us know. Because what we will do is, and we'll say, don't cancel it, don't touch it, let us do that for you. So we'll go in and submit to payroll requesting that you get a reimbursement of all the option C premiums that you paid over the years. And we need to know when was the last family member no longer eligible, because we'll try and get it backdated to that date. Of course, it's up to DFAS of how far back they actually refund money or premiums to you, but it's just something that we will want to take care of for you.
Quick question on that side. The top has got monthly cost of $1,000.
Mm-hmm.
So like 65 through 69, 680
Per
per thousand.
thousand.
That could be 680. For instance, spouse would be 5 times.
Mm-hmm. I don't know why they put that on there, but I tell you that's the actual cost per multiple. It looks like it's at per thousand. So for 5,000,
Per multiple.
right, for $5,000, it looks like it would be this times 5. Yeah. I'll make sure I let them know that. I got to let them know that I had the best CSRS group ever. So can we take a break and come back? When we come back, if there's any questions that you guys might have for FEGLI, we'll wrap up the FEGLI on this slide, and then I'll briefly touch on TSP. Okay, so we are at the home stretch. This is about it. We're on slide number 88, and I believe there's like 107 slides, maybe 115. Oh, 115 slides. But we really are going along the home stretch. We are almost done here. So for the life insurance, to wrap it up, the option C, when filling out the SF 2818 form, you want to make sure that if you have it and you want to keep it, you say yes. Determine how many multiples you want to continue it in. It works the same way as the option B as far as if you want to keep all your multiples, that means no reduction, or if you want any of those multiples to completely go away altogether. Okay. Now, if you have it but don't want to keep it, you'll say no. And if you don't have it at all, you'll say I don't have. Option C. Any more questions about life insurance? Okay. Yes, ma'am.
I know you said that pretty much you can't increase anything when you get into retirement, but if you have multiples and when you get ready to retire, can you reduce, change, make all those things happen
Before retirement or during the retirement process?
during the process?
This is the form to do that. This is how you elect how much of what you already have, how much you want to take into retirement. Now, if currently you're experiencing, that birthday thing when you get to pay more, then you can go in and decrease it at any time. But you want to make sure that whatever you decrease it to, that is kind of what you want to take into retirement, because you won't be able to increase it again. And if you want to go to the FEGLI calculator, is also on the OPM website. It belongs to them actually. But we have a link in EBIS under our calculators. And if you click on FEGLI calculator, it's actually going to take you to the OPM website. But all you have to do is put in your current salary. It asks your current age. You indicate whatever you currently have. And the report is going to give you an example of what you currently have and currently pay for all those premiums. You scroll all the way down to the bottom of that report, and it asks FEHB into retirement. Then you get to elect how much you want to try and take with you so you can get an idea of what the dollar amount would be. We also include it on our estimate reports. So I'm going to show you an example of an estimate report that is also going to have the different variations of that life insurance, and also helps when people are making decisions about how much they want to take with them. They do change from time to time. So how it's calculated, whatever percent times 100 or 1,000th, that adjusts sometimes over the years. So that might have been, no, it's true. It's just it does have something on there that's not completely the right way explain it, that one part where it said monthly cost. But otherwise, that is true, because it's been that way for about 3 years now. Okay. So, thrift savings plan. Of course, whenever we think about our TSP, when it comes to making an election, like how much we want to have coming out of our salaries per pay period, that's what we can do in EBIS. You can call an ABC counselor and we can assist you in that process. When it comes to exempt or allocating those funds, you've got to get in touch with TSP for that. Or you can actually go to your tsp.gov account and move those funds around if that's something that you are into. So if you call an ABC counselor, we won't know this information. So the way we have, the type of benefits we have for TSP is based on the taxes, how the taxes are handled. So the traditional, those deductions are taken from our salary and placed into our TSP accounts before our salaries are taxed. And then when it comes to the Roth, it's the opposite. So our salaries are taxed, and then our TSP deductions come out and are placed. So it's either pre-tax or post-tax. So the difference is when you start drawing on that TSP money, if it's traditional, then you know you're going to have to pay taxes on it. But if it's Roth, then you've already paid those taxes on it. It provides you with an opportunity to increase your retirement income, must be in a position subject to retirement deductions. So you guys are CSRS or CSRS offset, so that's why you're able to contribute toward your TSP. And there's different ways to invest in TSP. You can either do the L fund. I do the L fund because when I first started, like a lot of you, may have been just the G fund that you started in right away. I was in the G fund, the safest. Then I said, well, maybe I want my money to invest, and I'm not really good at that at all. So I'll do a life cycle fund, and they project out when my retirement's going to be, and then they invest according to how long I have. So whether it's going to be a low risk, moderate risk, or high, they decide the best way so they can try and maximize my benefits, my retirement. And then the other one is just individually. If you want to just put your money in certain funds, you can do that as well. So the different types of funds we have are the Government Securities Investment, G Fund, the lowest risk, and usually you don't lose anything on your principal. Pretty much whatever you put in is what you get out. The fixed income is the F Fund, and you can check that through Barclay Capital US Aggregate Bond Index. So that's how you would track the F Fund. Low to moderate risk, and that's government, corporate, and mortgage-backed bonds. The Common Stock Index Investments, C Fund, the S&P 500, that's how you would track this S Fund. Moderate risk, and that's for large stocks and mid-sized U.S. companies. Small Capitalization Stock Index, S Fund, moderate to high risk, and the Dow Jones, that's how you would track this fund here. Then we've got International Stock Index Investments, international stocks of 21 developed countries, moderate to high risk, Morgan Stanley Capital International, that's how you would track that one on that index there. And then, of course, the Life Cycle Fund. The Life Cycle Fund is designed to spread your investment across the different funds. The objective is to provide the highest possible rate of return. So, of course, if you're close to retirement, you do an L fund, they're not going to be very risky with your money because they don't want to risk losing all of your TSP. And just a little bit more like another look into the L fund, the life cycle fund. Again, it's based on how close your horizon for when you're planning to retire. So for most of us, we're right up in here. I mean, most of you guys are right up in here. I know. I'll be 43 this year, but not close enough to retire. Feel like I've been around for a while, but just not long enough. So I'll be doing these classes for a while, helping out the rest of you guys. So this is how they invest money for, depending on how close or how far you are from retiring. People who just come on board, if they do the L fund, they just throw it in there, just gamble it. Look at that, high growth, which is good, but high risk, so there's a chance that they take there. But okay, so for TSP, the options are an automatic cash out. If you have like $200 in there, they're just gonna send you a check. Here you go. You don't even have to call us, no. But they automatically send you a check for $200 or less. You can leave your money in TSP. However, you must begin to receive TSP funds by April 1st of the year following you turning age 70 and a half. So that's really important, because if you leave it there and don't do anything with it, there's a portion of that money that you could forfeit. So when they say 70 and a half, there's a portion that you will have to start receiving. Not all of it, just a certain portion of it. So that's very important to ask more questions if you are coming on to 70. Okay. You can do a mixture of withdrawals, full withdrawal, and there's combinations that you can do, but if it's something that you're thinking about, definitely want you to give them a call, because when you do plan for retirement, not only are you wanting to know what your CSRS is going to be worth, you also want to know what that TSP is going to be worth for you. So if you know you need to take a small withdrawal out to buy a boat, then that's what you got to do. So for TSP, I just want to touch on this. Some people say, well, when will TSP be made aware of my retirement? And is there anything that I need to do? And you don't. So once you retire, your final deductions from that last salary is going to go into your TSP account. And once they receive that final contribution, then they will change your status from an active employee to a retiree, and then send you information out in the mail. So it's about 30 days after your retirement that you can actually start doing anything with this TSP money. No one in here had military service that interrupted their federal civilian time, right? Okay, so they do have something called TSP makeup, where if that occurred and they were called to active duty, when they return, they can actually apply, they automatically get their 1%, but they have to apply to get any agency matchings if it applied to them that they may have missed. And that's mostly FERS employees. But if it were a CSRS and you paid into TSP while you were deployed, then that would benefit you. If you continue to TSP during your, okay, this is just going more into the military service and catching up on making up any of those premiums that you paid into. The year that they pay it, even if it was the prior year's service that they are trying to get matching or contribute toward for TSP, it doesn't interfere with the current year's $18,500 threshold. This is the process. Does that apply to anyone in here? I always have to ask. No? Okay. This is a copy of that makeup letter that's received, letting them know how much they would have to pay and also how much the amount the agency would pay on their behalf. TSP catch-up. Once you reach the age of 50, even if you're 49 and the year before you get ready to turn 50, so this year in December, I could elect to start my TSP additional catch-up of $6,000 for that next year. So what that means is an employee who is paying toward their TSP $18,500, they have an opportunity to put in an additional $6,000 toward your TSP account. This is starting at the age of 50 to try and maximize those benefits. So one thing is for sure, you've got to be contributing toward the $18,500. So some people are like, well, do I have to wait until I have $18,500 before I can do the additional $6,000? No. The dollar amount is somewhere around $685. I can't do the math in my head. Per pay period. Some people started in the beginning of the year, and each pay period is going to take that amount out and contribute towards TSP so that by the last pay period of the year, they will have met the $18,500. Simultaneously, they can contribute an additional up to $6,000 more each pay period until at the end of the year, it equals an additional $6,000. So this is meant to try and maximize your TSP contributions. And if this is something you were interested in, every year we post a new chart so that you can see kind of how the pay periods are for the next year. We've got one up for this year, so if it's something that you might want to do or make any adjustments, the chart is really clever. It shows the current pay period that you're making the election, when it will become effective, the dollar amount that you'll want to contribute if you're trying to max out that amount, either of those amounts, and how many pay periods you've got for the remainder of the year. It's kind of help you figure it out if you want to start adding a little bit more towards your TSP. In EBIS, under your transactions menu, you'll see FEHB, that's like the top two boxes, FEGLI, TSP is the next two boxes. You'll see TSP catch-up as well. So either the year before you turn 50, it'll show up, or if you just, turn in 50 that year, you'll see it there. You'll see it, and you can start contributing to that one as well. So long-term care insurance, if you currently have it, you can take it into retirement with you. If you do not have it, then you can call this number here. It's 1-800-582-3337 and ask the questions about long-term care and if it's something that might benefit you.
Is that the same way as the health insurance? Does between that period when you retire and it's actually picked up again on your annuity?
So for your long-term care, because we can't help OPM control the health insurance to make sure it continues, we always advise people if you have it and you're getting ready to retire, give them a call. And usually for these additional plans that you have, they'll be made aware. They'll know that something has occurred, and they'll send you a letter asking you, have you retired? Do you intend to continue this benefit? We haven't received the premiums for last month or something like that. And then you pay it directly until OPM finalizes your retirement, and then you can have them deducted automatically. In your estimate requests, you won't see long-term care indicated there. Doesn't apply to everyone, and if it does, we won't be able to see that information, but it is something that you can take into retirement if you chose to. For flexible spending accounts, that is not something that we can take into retirement with us. So we can benefit from it as actual employees, but right now, not something we can take. And if you've ever used a flexible spending account, there are benefits there to it. Especially reducing your taxable earnings, paying, for me, it's the tax thing. It's always been the tax part of it. Okay. Now, another thing about flexible spending account, if you're currently contributing to the federal spending account or participating in the federal spending account, then what you'll want, flexible spending account, then what you'll want to do is if you're getting ready to retire, give them a call and let them know when you're going to retire, because then you can discuss if there's anything that you may have to pay out, or if you owe anything at all, because it's designed to go throughout the end of the year. It's for a whole year. So if it's something that you're contributing to right now, you're going to retire and not going to retire at the end of a year, definitely want to give them a call and give them a heads up and say, hey, is there anything I need to do on this? Now for dental and vision, FedVip, there's no 5-year enrollment. It's not like the health insurance and life insurance where we have to have it at least 5 years. If you pick it up in the next open season and retire next year, then you can still keep that into retirement with you. There's no 5-year rule on the dental and vision, the supplemental dental and vision. Okay.
So do we carry over, or do we have to contact them to make sure it carries over?
That one is the same. You'll get a letter from that dental or that vision plan saying, hey, we haven't received your premiums. Have you retired? And do you intend to continue these benefits? And then you go from there and pay them. We always suggest, and this is during our counselings, when we're counseling you during retirement, we always advise you to contact them anyway. We've been told by OPM that it continues, even if the person doesn't make contact with them. But I don't like for that to just be left to chance. The health insurance, you don't have to do anything. These, I would just recommend, go ahead and give them a call, because sometimes they do send out pay booklets or vouchers so that you can continue paying them. You don't want to miss out on that part and then drop your coverage. So I would suggest calling them if any of these apply to you and just letting them know, hey, I'm thinking about retiring on this date. Is there anything I've got to do? And of course, none of those benefits can come from your retirement check until your retirement check has been finalized by OPM, until your annuity has been finalized.
Do you know if the premiums for these are similar to what we're paying now?
It's pretty much monthly basis. So if you pay for these benefits, you're going to pay the same premiums. Okay. The premiums only increase if the plan across the board has a slight increase or so. But it's just monthly instead of biweekly payments. Now, requesting an estimate within 5 years of retirement, it is a great idea to do so. Even if you've gone through EBIS and done several calculations on your own, we ask that you request one from us within 5 years, although it's only every 3 years, just so that there's no surprises. So if you didn't know or not sure if you had any temporary time, that's some stuff that we could verify for you. If your SCD date is slightly different, we can explain to you why it is different. We also take a look and see the last beneficiary form on file, include whatever we currently see for sick leave, so you can just get an idea of how that benefits your retirement. Okay. If there's any military civilian deposits that you may have paid for, but we don't include it in here, more than likely we didn't see it on file in your EOPF, which is why we didn't include it in there. So a lot of these is meant to ring a bell and say, hey, you probably need to call ABC.
Is that, you can't tell me what date you plan to have this, they just do it when they get it based on the
You're talking about the sick leave or the date of retirement? The retirement estimate, so you can't plan the date, you plan the date of retirement. So if you call today and say, I would like to request an estimate. I'm thinking about retiring December 31st of 2018. That's the proposed date we're going to put on there. And then we're going to calculate everything based on you retiring on that date. So it's always current salary. We don't project out any increases that might happen the next year. We don't project out any sick leave or annual leave that you might accumulate over the years. We look at when that counselor starts to process your request, they'll look in the system, see what you currently have for health, life insurance, annual leave, sick leave, and incorporate that in your retirement estimate. We check your EOPF to verify all your health benefit election forms to make sure that you've had it for at least the 5 years We have to make sure that you didn't have any breaks in that coverage. Right now, let me see. I work with the Defense Contract Management Agency, DCMA. So that's my little branch that I get to work with. And our turnaround time, it might be about 3 weeks, but we only service about 12,000 employees. For Army, the other 3 branches, is about 250,000 Army employees. So as you guys, no, we make sure, it depends. If your estimate is like in 2 months, possibly, no. I want to say the turnaround time might be 6 weeks. And the reason I say that is because we've actually gotten much better at it. And we've done overtime. And one of the main reasons that we've got these Fridays is because we get tons of requests for estimates. And we want to be able to get them back to you guys before you retire. Okay. Now, there's a couple ways that you can request an estimate. The HR link in EBIS. So if you click on HR link, then you can put in your request, and it'll go to the Army Benefit Center. And even if you go into EBATS, you'll see that your request is in there. When we finish processing your estimate and you requested it through the HR link, you'll receive another email saying, hey, go into HR link, your estimate is available for you. Also, you should be able to click on a link in EBATS as well to be able to see it there. So we like to make sure you get it, especially since we don't mail out estimates anymore. We used to, but not anymore. The other way is by calling into the Army Benefit Center, and we can put in that request for you. We do like for people to be able to go in to our tool, EBIS, to see everything else that's in there and process elections and everything like that. But if you give us a call and ask all kind of questions, we'll happily put in an estimate for you. Now, this is just an example of the top portion of an estimate request. So those of you who have already received estimates, you've seen this before. So for this individual, this is an optional retirement. Mortimer Schnurm. Okay, so for this individual, their unreduced monthly annuity will be $3,114.58. Their election for a survivor benefit will be a reduction in the amount of $288.96. So if any of you have anything like, say, early retirement penalty, like you're going out on the VERA or the VSIP before you reach the age of 55, this is where you'll see that permanent reduction come out right there. If you have any unpaid CSRS deposits, you'll see whatever, if it's a 10% reduction or actuary reduction, then you'll see that right there. If you've got any redeposits that you didn't pay for, remember you get credit for that service, but you'll see a reduction in the amount of your annuity showing right there. And then, of course, alternate form of annuity is very rare that we see those. Sometimes if a person has a life expectancy, they might have to get all their annuity paid out to them because they have proved from the doctor, have proof that they are not going to live through retirement. So their alternate form of annuity is just pretty much a payout of their retirement. So for a gross monthly annuity after the survivor benefit is deducted, is $2,000, I'm not looking at it, FERS retirement, I don't know why I said that, $2,825. The deductions for health insurance is $321.67 per month. And it's the same at the end of the year, it's just the rate in which we have to pay in retirement. Life insurance premium, $163.70. And the net monthly annuity, and it says net, but keep in mind, net is really when taxes come out. So the annuity after health insurance and life insurance is $2,339.63. And it doesn't even take into account if this person had dental or vision or federal or state taxes. This is what we show you, because you can always change your exemptions. We just give you this bottom line. If a person is CSRS offset, they can submit their Social Security earnings. We can calculate it and show them what their offset would be. Now, because this employee selected a survivor benefit and have to pay $288.96 per month, if they were to pass away in retirement, their surviving spouse will receive $1,713 and be able to continue the health insurance. Now, if that spouse is the only one under that health insurance premium, then we'll walk through the process with them and make sure that we get it changed to a self-only plan so the premiums aren't as high. Okay. So that first page, ultimately the calculation on this first page, the top portion of the first page is based on calculations taken from the bottom of the first page. So what I'm trying to say is this employee CSRS service was 38 years and 10 months. They did have some sick leave remaining. Their total sick leave hours for the purposes of this was 1,000 hours of unused sick leave, which gave them 5 months and 23 days toward their annuity. So when we add the CSRS service credit to the sick leave, the total service credit becomes 39 years, 3 months, and 23 days. What happens to those days? Nothing. It's not used in calculating the annuity. So this calculation is based on 39 years and 3 months. And for military purposes, you'll see that on the right side here. The total military service will be included there, but anything that was unpaid is also listed there. So that means this person didn't pay that military time at all. So it's not included for their purposes. Now, as far as the information, as far as date of birth and age at retirement, that's just basically verifying this person is 55 or older and eligible to retire. The retirement service computation date is right there. So we put that there to make sure that they do have that 38 years, 10 months. The type of life insurance this person elected is Z5. That's maxed out. So that's option A, B, a basic option A, B 5 times, and C 5 times. The health benefit plan is going to be 112, which is Blue Cross Blue Shield Family Basic. And the type of retirement system, of course, is CSRS. And this is the date that this person proposed. So this was an old calculation that we did. It's still a good example. The high 3 average salary for this employee. So if you wonder, wow, that is not a much. That's because the high 3 for this individual was $50,000. So it may vary for you guys in this room. So you'll just have an idea of the highest earning salary throughout the person's career is what we look for. Okay. The rest of just shows if there were any deposits or redeposits and how much they cost to pay back, plus interest. I'm sorry, not how much they cost, but the total amount of them, how much they are. Survivor annuity. So when I said that, if you request an estimate from us, go ahead and ask us, yeah, go ahead and put it on there. If you're just curious, because you're married and you're thinking about leaving something, but you're not sure if you want to. But if you have to because you carry the health insurance, make sure that you do leave something. So in this example, this chart, if you say, no, I don't want to see the survivor annuity, you won't see this chart here. We will put this on here if you say you want full so that you can see what your options are. So basically, this is what you would put on the line. Remember that application area where it says 55% of? That's what you would put here. This is the amount that your spouse will be entitled to receive. And this is monthly. And then this part right here is what will be deducted from your retirement check. So depending on how much you want to leave is how you would fill out that information on your application. So right up here, there's just some basic information. This employee's CSRS service factor of 0.7475. That means that this person's retirement is based off of 74.75% of their earnings, of their high 3 average salary, I'm sorry. And then right down here it says, based on employee's final basic pay of $50,000 and 240 hours of unused annual leave, the gross lump sum annual leave payment would be $5,750.40. So that is before taxes. But we do just give you an idea of how much your payout would be before the taxes. This is the top portion of the second page, right here. I believe this is going into the third page. And then this is the bottom portion of the third page. So this is where I wanted you guys to kind of focus on whenever you get your estimates. Unfortunately, this one was calculated at full reduction. For my section, they are required to do no reduction for an estimate unless specifically asked by the employee, because otherwise you don't get to see what those premiums increase to after retirement. So for some people who get an estimate like this, they might think, well, why not? I'll just do 75% reduction and I'll keep my option A, I'll keep my option B, that's not that expensive for 5 times, and then I'll keep my option B, my option C as well. Well, if you keep the full amount of option B, then it does increase over the years, and I believe that's what people need to see. So you want to make sure that you get to see that, or go in and do an estimate of FEGLI on the FEGLI calculator to see what it would be before you start making those important decisions on what you want to take into retirement. Five years prior to retiring, start getting calculations, start looking in EBIS, just kind of get an idea of what your plan is and what you need to do to make that happen in retirement. 180 days, oh, make sure you give us a call, ask us questions, say, hey, I just want to make sure I'm good, because when I'm gone, I'm gone. We want you to please ask us for an estimate, because I said yesterday, and this happened, an employee never had an estimate from ABC before. And then they just turned in their application and everything like that, told their supervisor and everybody, I'm going to retire. They bought the cake. They start, put that name on the certificate and everything, set that retirement ceremony and everything. And then like a day before, somebody from ABC called them and said that they don't quite meet the eligibility for retirement. You don't actually meet eligibility till like next year. Yeah, so that's pretty messed up. That is a surprise that I would never want to get or have to tell anyone about. So please, if you can, make sure that you try and do it early. If you already know, look, I'm already past 55 and I have more than 30 years, I'm good. I know I'm good. We just let us make sure that you are, because we don't want that kind of surprise. And they're going to still eat the cake, but it's not going to mean the same. So 180 days prior, we ask that you either go to e-retirement and start filling out those forms, because e-retirement is pretty cool. It's meant to submit it electronically through from you to ABC, then DFAS, and then OPM. We're not there yet. Everybody's not on board. So until they are, that tool is very useful in helping you fill out your retirement in all the required forms. All you got to do is print them off, sign them, add a copy of your marriage certificate, add the DD-214 or orders if it applied, And just if it's spousal consent for survivor election, if it's less than the full amount, make sure that that original is in there and make a copy for yourself. Yes, ma'am?
If you start filling out the forms at the 180-day mark, is your chain of command notified that you have tentatively submitted your retirement?
No.
Okay.
You can see how supervisors will be really frustrated about that. But no, it is an employee's right to apply for retirement. You know, I gotta let you guys know. So it's your right to apply for retirement, definitely. So if you apply, we process it, boom, you're retired. If it's ideal that employees let their supervisor know. That's just the way it is with any position. But it doesn't always happen like that. There's sometimes where CPACs or HR, they might even call and ask us. There's certain information we're just not allowed to get. Okay, so if you retire and you're eligible, we're gonna process you. You'll be off the rolls. You won't show up for work. No one will know why, but you'll be retired. I don't recommend it. I wouldn't do it, but hey.
I was gonna say, I did go to a seminar before, and a lady from OPM was there, and she said, you don't have to tell your supervisor anything.
You don't.
She said, you can walk in today, tell us you want to retire. She said, we don't notify them. She said, to have everything's done, then, you know.
Same for ABC. We don't.
She said, you don't have to tell them anything at all.
Even changing your dates so many times. Now, I will say this, that applying for retirement is kind of equivalent to a notice of separation or resigning. So, for example, what if a person submitted their retirement application, changed their mind, and they didn't submit their withdrawal in time, and they're taken off the rolls? That means that your intentions was to separate. Do they have to bring you back on or put you back in your same spot? So, I mean, you want to be very careful. You can change your date. We just ask you, please let us know, because once it's processed, it'll take you off the rolls, and we can go ahead and try to pull everything back to get you active and everything like that, but we just don't want you to wait all the way up until the last day, because you're going to end up retired if you didn't mean to. The question was, is there a limit on the number of times that you can change your date of retirement? That's a good question. So, because your signature will expire on that application, basically the date that you sign it, it's only good for like a year. So if a person's going to keep changing their date, we see that it keep happening, especially if that retirement is already at DFAS just waiting. We say, DFAS, just send us that packet back. We're going to hold it here until that employee is sure. And if that date expires, we tell you we can't process it. And when you're ready to retire, you're going to have to resubmit your application. That's very few, but people do that because they keep coming up with the reason why they need to stay. And some people just pull it all together and say, you know what, I'll just submit it when I'm ready because I don't know what I'm doing right now. Good question. Do you actually have to physically show up for work on your last day? Technically, you do have to. People can take leave if they choose to. It's the same leave process. But based on regulations, you're not even supposed to be on leave on your last day. You're actually supposed to show up for work. But we can't control it. We just process your retirement. So whether you've been approved for leave or not, we have nothing to do with it at all. Now, some people have RDOs. Maybe your retirement date falls on an RDO, so you don't have to show up. But basically, your retirement is not effective until midnight of the day of your retirement. So leave regulations do state that people are supposed to show up. But people put leave in all the time because they go to, I don't know, the Bahamas for vacation. So it happens, but if you ask us at ABC, we will say, technically, you're not supposed to, but it's not in our hands. So 90 to 120 days prior to retirement, we ask that you mail your original retirement forms to ABC. Now, we'll tell you, we've got retirement packets in-house for December. So it's first come, first serve on that date that you've requested. We ask that you don't send them in more than a year, bless you, more than 365 days in advance, because we can't hold on to it for that long. But we do have this Lectriever that the files just keep going up. It's like this wide, all these different file bins. We click the Lectriever and it keeps going up until we get to that, okay, this date of retirement. It's not in alphabetical order, it's in order of date received for that particular retirement date. So if you're submitting your packet for December 31st of this year, then it's going to go in line behind the people who've already submitted theirs. Okay? And those are popular dates. So any date that you think is probably a really good date is also a really good date to a lot of other people. And our job is to make sure we can get them processed in a timely manner so you can get into a good flow with OPM as far as payroll is concerned, receiving your final salary, unused annual leave payout, and also getting into that interim pay status with OPM. So 90 to 120 days prior to retirement, we ask that you please mail your packet to ABC. If it's within 30 days, if it's a week prior to retirement, if it's the day of, if you stopped going to work 2 weeks ago and then decided you're going to go ahead and get the packet mailed out to us, we're still going to process it as long as you're eligible. It just holds up the time frame a little bit more. So we always say, please maintain your copy, a personal copy. Send us the original, but make a copy for yourself, for your records. And the information on the application must be after retirement information. So don't leave your mail.mil account as a way of contacting you through email, or your desk number, or your BlackBerry, if they still have BlackBerries, I don't even know, iPhone. Then you want to make sure that it's something where they can get a hold of you, they being OPM, because the information you put on there is for the Office of Personnel Management after retirement. As soon as you submit your applications to us, you will receive an automatic email letting you know that it's arrived. So people say, well, what's the best way to send my packet? Should I send it certified mail? It's a good thing to track. People like to track it. Should I send it express mail or overnight mail? I don't recommend it, because your packet is going to go to the Fort Riley mailroom, or post office, and then the post office is going to deliver it to our mail and file room. And then our mail and file room is going to distribute all the mail up and take it over to each of the buildings and the branches that it belongs to. So if you do overnight mail, we're not going to get it overnight. Save a few dollars. You get ready to retire, so you want to save.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, I just requested a retirement estimate this year. Now, am I going to be able to do another one if I retire within 3 years?
You can request another estimate in 3 years from the last estimate you've requested.
Okay, so I won't be able to get another one.
No. Okay. What you can do is go on EBIS and use those tools there.
All right.
If we mention your name, you think that'll make any sense?
I don't know. You can try it. I'll be interested to see if it works. When applications, automatic email from ABC as soon as we receive it. Once you are assigned to a retirement specialist, you're going to get another email saying, hey, your packet's been assigned. And we know what the counselors know what it says. It's something like, you'll receive a call within the next 5 days or something like that. They go over there. They try. But a lot of times when they're assigned retirements, it's not just one. It's several, but they do try to get a hold of you right away if they have any questions for you. And then they'll give you an idea, okay, well, I'll be working on your retirement in the next couple of days, so I'll be giving you a call as soon as I'm done. So actually processing the retirement for a counselor sitting down at their desk doing the retirement, and it's not phone duty, then they can go ahead and do it from start to finish, get that packet together, give you a call. That might take an hour and a half if it's straight service and you've been in one location since you graduated. But for some people who's moved all over the place, it might take a little bit longer, especially if you've got work and non-work, or if you went from one agency to the next, and it might take a little bit of time, maybe a couple more hours, but we'll get it processed and give you a call and go over all that information. We make 2 attempts to call you. The application, there's a phone number there, usually home or cell. We try that way, leave a voicemail. We try your work number, so we try to look up your current work phone number and give you a call that way. And there's some counselors who will try and email you as well, because basically we need you to call us. We need to stop and go through the information with you before the packet is no longer with us, so we can make any changes if we need to. Yes, sir?
Okay, I have a indecisive guy, so on November the 29th, I decided I've had it, retired by December 31st. I know that's within your all's window of not being able to properly act about it. But is that, because I choose that date and submit that application, does it actually make the retirement date December 31st, or the retirement date whenever OPM finishes all work on it?
So your retirement date is whatever date you put on your application. Your date of retirement, that's it. Now, of course, OPM's in interim status. So you just wanted to make sure if the date of retirement differs from the date that OPM finalizes the retirement, it's whatever date you select. Date you stop working, they just give you back pay.
The reason I'm asking that is the reason, if you're in that situation, you decide to suddenly get out, and you got a lot of leave that you're use or lose that year, then if you put the retirement date December 31st, I'm assuming you get paid out that year. But if you don't get it in soon enough, don't be in the process of that 31st, you still get the cash in.
Now, let's keep in mind that OPM processing your retirement and getting it done within the time, maybe a couple months down the line, that's different from you actually, your SF50 being processed and you off the rolls. Okay? So even if OPM takes a couple months to process your retirement, your date of retirement is what it is. Okay? So the annual leave might be paid out the next year, more than likely. It will be if you pick that date, but OPM's retirement or your retirement date is based on the date you put on your application, even if it takes several months for OPM to finalize it.
So that holds up the state. You wait till the last minute to submit a month before you want to retire, that holds up your pay for your paycheck.
So you keep in mind, we can process it up to 2 months prior, up to 30 days prior, up to 2 weeks prior, up to a week prior. As long as we get it to DFAS, preferably before your date of retirement, then DFAS is going to do what they have to do, because there's things that they've got to do, like your final time card, your annual leave calculation, pay that out, your sick leave amount, they make sure OPM receives that so they'll know what to credit towards your retirement. So we try to ask you to send it in enough time so that with the number of retirements we're processing, with the steps that it has to go through, DFAS and then OPM, that we can get it there in a timely manner so that you can get paid within that 6 to 8 week time frame. Anything after that date can add some more time onto when your first annuity check is going to be. "30 to 60 days prior to the retirement packages are assigned to a specialist. People call us sometimes during the end of the year and say, hey, I went to your briefing and you said 30 to 60 days prior. It is 2 weeks before my retirement, and you've not called me. First in, first out. So we have over 1,000 retirements for that same date. We process them in the order that they came in, and we try to get to each and every one of them before the date of retirement so we can get them in there timely. And we're like, okay, it's not been assigned, but you can keep calling us and check on the status, but also look out for the email to let you know that it's been assigned, and you'll be notified. So it's, retirement is important. We understand. So when you call us and we haven't gotten to it yet, it's not because we didn't want to. It's just that we're working on them all and working on the estimates and the deposits and redeposits and the post 56. But retirements are our priority. So ABCC counselor or retirement specialist will verify all your documents and your forms, process your retirement packet, contact you, make a couple of attempts to reach you so they can give you your final retirement counseling, and then we will submit your retirement packet to DFAST. Okay. I'm sorry? All the time. All the time. Sometimes people get the amount and they're like, I can't do that right now. I'm going to go ahead and work another year. So people do change their mind, or they don't not like what they're doing, and they're just a little worried about what they're going to do afterwards. So they're like, I'll just keep going until I really don't want to do it anymore. And then they change their mind. Or their boss say, I really need you to stay on. And they do it. 2 to 4 weeks after retirement, that's when you're going to expect to receive your final paycheck from your salary, from DFAST, from MyPay. Okay? And it's always on the payday. So even after you've retired, you're thinking, okay, I'm waiting for my money. It's still going to come on that pay cycle, that payday that you're used to. Now, if you do not see your unused annual leave also included in that final paycheck, give it one more pay period. So another 2 weeks so you can see that paid out. Now, I do have to let you guys know that you'll have access to MyPay to look at these final salaries and unused annual leave. After that, you'll have a different database that you'll look at your retirement pay. So for one tip I like to make sure people are aware of is that since you won't have your CAT card after you retire, you want to make sure that you set your MyPay password and user ID so that you can get back into that system after you retire to make sure everything paid out correctly, make sure all your annual leave was paid out accordingly and everything like that. That MyPay is going to be available to you all the way until April 15th of the following year for tax purposes. Another thing I like to let people know is if you're not going to go in there next year to get that W-2 form, then make sure you go in there and maybe change it to hard copy if you want to, since that's an option, so it'll be mailed to you. Once you retire, your 1099s are going to be available in a different database because you're going to view your salaries. You're going to make any changes if you want to decrease your FEGLI, things like that you would either look at your MyPay or go to EBIS. Once you retire, you won't have those databases. You're going to go to something else, and it's not here. Okay, it's not on the screen. It might be on the next one. But it's online service for retirees. That's basically once you retire, OPM is going to send that to you, along with your civil service annuitant number, CSA number. Very important. If you ever have to call OPM, you'll have to reference that CSA number. They won't ask for your social. People, it's a good idea to safeguard that CSA number. Because if I have your CSA number and they ask, okay, what's the CSA number? And I give it to them, then they can tell me anything I ask them. I mean, they should be asking for more identifiable information. But that's just how important that CSA number is. You want to hold on to that and make sure it's in a secure place. Now, of course, it's going to be sent to you on all your letters from OPM. But as far as your first interim check, right there it says 8 to 10 weeks after retirement. Of course, with retirees who've already retired, we've been informed that it's close to 6 to 8 weeks. Once you get your letter in the mail, be on the lookout for that first deposit for your retirement check. It's interim, it's partial. It's not the full amount because they don't take out the health benefit and life insurance automatically. Even if you don't have those benefits, they do still hold on to a portion of it. They take taxes out during your interim period. Once they finalize your retirement, then they go ahead and pay out anything that's remaining that didn't go toward paying off your premiums or for health insurance and life insurance. If you request to change your date of retirement, we ask that you send, there's a form on our website. If you go to the Army Benefits Center homepage and you click on, there's an area that says, how do I? Underneath it, it says, access my EOPF. Underneath that, I believe it says, change or withdraw my retirement. You click on that link, and it's going to take you to the form that we created. All you have to do is initial and indicate which date you're changing from and to, sign and date it, and send it to us. The fax number is on that form and everything. There's no email that you can send it to at this time. It's a fax. And what we will do is go ahead and either withdraw it or change your date of retirement. Now, if you want to change the date, not only do you have to send that form, but you also have to send the first page of your application with the new date on it. So 2 documents, the DOR change form and the first page of your application with that new date on it. I mean, we used to all the time with that one form, just make a change and put that date on there, initial it, and we've got the proof that it's signed. But OPM doesn't want that anymore. They want to see a nice, clean form. So we have to ask for that form as well. Okay. Must be signed, faxed to ABC. And if you're receiving a Vera Visa, now you know when you sign the contract, there's things that you sign it, you go. So when you decide to change your date, we've got to make sure with the CPAC or the HRO that they can actually extend that date, because if the agency or you guys are moving or reorganizing or going to a new location as of this date, then we've got to make sure that your retirement doesn't extend the date that's on the agreement on those forms. So you can move it forward, but you can't move it out. So that's where it'll maybe be a little bit difficult for us to do. And that's when we may have to call CPAC to see if it's okay or if you got an extension. And if so, we got to get new documents to send. So submit request to ABC as soon as you have made the decision. Don't get home after retirement and say, you know what, this is boring. I want to go back to work, because you really can't do that. The agency does not have to take you back. And we say changing it may cause pay problems. That's only if it's not caught in time. So before you retire, if you send it to us and we submit the request to stop everything and it doesn't happen in time, that's a little bit different. That is when, okay, what happened that we didn't do right to make sure this process did not go through? Because obviously this person advised us early on. Any retirement that's in-house does not process until midnight. And when I say doesn't process, I mean the SF50 doesn't process. We process your packet, but the SF50s don't process or consummate until midnight of the day of retirement. So we get your packets together, send them to DFAS, and we're all still waiting for that date to come midnight so that your SF50 processes and it is available for you. We send this information to you in the mail. So after your retirement, I'm going to say in about, I want to say 2 weeks, maybe 10 to 14 business days after you retire, you'll receive a packet from the counselor who processed your retirement. It also has your SF50 retirement action for your records. So if there's anything in OPF that you want to get. If you want to update, you want to do that before you separate, because that's CAC enabled. You can only get in there with your CAC card, and they're going to take that away or disable it. All right. With that SF50 that we send to you, some people will go to the ID card section and get an ID card, or a federal retired civilian employee's ID card, retiree ID card. So you need your SF50 in order to do that. And we send that to you. Now, as far as unemployment is concerned, there's a form called the SF8. And so if you were to apply for unemployment, and remember, it's different in different states, but we send that form to everyone. So the SF8 form is included in the packet. And if you decide you want to apply for unemployment, you take that form with you, that SF8, and also your SF50 to the unemployment office and apply if it's something that you're able to receive. So when you're contacting the Army Benefits Center, you can reach us from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Central Time, Monday through Thursday. And no holidays, we're closed on holidays. So if on national holidays. So we're continuing this initiative this Monday through Thursday with Fridays off up until June. If it changes, it's going to be posted on the website. So you can always check the website before you give us a call if you want to. But as of right now, it's to make sure that we're up ahead of the game when we're processing our actions and all the requests that are submitted to us. So the website, of course, www.abc.army.mil. Now, you'll see the toll-free numbers there, 877-276-9287. This fax number goes to our mail and file room. So if you fax anything to this number, which is a really good fax number, it's just that you have to give at least 24 hours before you call to make sure that it was received. So what they'll do, they'll log it in at the mail and file room, and they get a lot of faxes, but it's a good way to get information sent into our agency. When you're assigned a counselor, they'll probably give you the closest fax or ask you to encrypt it and email it to them, whatever the case is, to hurry up and get the updated information, if it's something that doesn't have to be original signature. But that fax number will go to our mail and file room, and then they'll bring it over to our department, and then we'll have it. So that's about 24 hours after. The mailing address is Army Benefits Center -Civilian, and it's 305 Marshall Avenue, Fort Riley, Kansas, 66442-7005. Whenever you guys call in to that toll-free number, you want to select option number 1 so that you can get through to an Army counselor. That's it. All right, so I really, really appreciate you guys. The questions were amazing because you guys have really touched on some things that were very important, needed to know.